Your Excellencies, Your Royal Highnesses, Your Highnesses, I was here 8 years ago for the first summit with President Trump, King Salman, and His Royal Highness. And as Minister Al-Faleh just said, you could feel history in the making. When King Salman and His Royal Highness hosted President Trump in King Abdulaziz's historic home, and we saw the beautiful memories of the historic visit of President FDR, I realized this next period of time is really meaningful for this bilateral relationship, and that proved to be true. The next two speakers that I get to invite are also friends of mine. They're incredible leaders in finance, and today their respective roles as Finance Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Treasury Secretary of the United States could not be more consequential. Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency Minister Al-Jaddan, Finance Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the Secretary of the Treasury of the United States, Secretary Scott Bessent. Welcome. Such a privilege, as I said, to be with you both this morning. Your Excellency, thank you for hosting us. Thank you for putting on this extraordinary summit with His Excellency Minister Al-Faleh. You and I had the privilege of working together 8 years ago on some of the extremely important partnerships and business deliverables, and we're really excited to have Secretary Bessent with us, fresh off a flight from Geneva. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Secretary. You have had quite a few weeks and a very important meeting in Geneva, a series of meetings with the Chinese counterparts, and success. It sounds like you have made huge progress in the relationship, and the next 90 days are going to prove to be critical. Can you share a little bit more about the deal, how the talks went, and what you think will happen in the next 90 days?
Good. Well, thank you, Dina, Excellency. First of all, I'm going to say it's wonderful to be here. I have a long history with the Kingdom. The governor of South Carolina, where I'm from, John West, was the ambassador to the Kingdom under President Jimmy Carter. He was a close family friend, so I grew up hearing stories about the Kingdom as a child. And then my first proper job in New York City was working for the Olayan Group. I have a long history with Saudi. And before we go on too, I do want to have a hat tip to our moderator here. Dina Powell is the personification of the perfect internal and external public and private person in the United States.
Thank you.
Her family moved from the Middle East to Texas. She attended the University of Texas. She's had a major role in the first Trump administration, and now, for now, she's on the outside. So.
Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And yes, so we had a very active dialogue in Geneva this weekend. It was very constructive. Both sides came with a clear agenda, but shared interest. We had great mutual respect. And I think what we were able to establish as President Trump and the administration began the tariff program, we had a plan, we had a process, and what we did not have with the Chinese was a mechanism. So the Vice Premier and I now call this the Geneva mechanism to prevent any misunderstandings, because President Trump and Party Chairman Xi have a very good relationship, but the relationship did not make its way down through other levels of government. So I think the important thing is that after this weekend, we have a mechanism to avoid escalation like we had before. We both agreed to bring the tariffs levels down 115%, which I think is very productive, because where we were with 145 and 125 was the equivalent of an unintended embargo. That is not healthy for the two largest economies in the world. It is not healthy for the rest of the world. So I think we can proceed from here. We have a very good framework, and as I said during IMF week in Washington about 3 or 4 weeks ago, there is a possibility, it's not a certainty, but that, as Ray Dalio might say, we could do a big, beautiful rebalancing. President Trump wants to rebalance the American economy back to a manufacturing economy with high precision manufacturing. I think everyone agrees, including Chinese leadership, that they need to rebalance towards more of a consumption and consumer economy. And the dream scenario would be if somehow we could do that together.
And what do you think the next 90 days look like? It sounds like very productive meetings, and now people talking to each other, as you say. Were there areas that you kind of put to the side, or really put everything on the table?
I think everything is on the table. We have a very good framework from President Trump's first administration. There was a treaty that was signed, a trade treaty, a trade agreement that was signed in January 2020. So we're not starting from ground zero. We have a framework, and we can go from there. Obviously, many things have changed over the past 5 years. And look, what we don't want, and both sides agreed, we do not want a generalized decoupling between the two largest economies in the world. What we want is the U.S. is going to decouple in strategic industries, which we saw during COVID. We had become woefully non-self-sufficient. So whether it's medicines, semiconductors, other strategic areas. So the United States will bring those industries home, but the idea isn't a generalized decoupling, and we do have a very large trade deficit with China. That could be solved in many ways, and my hope it is via Chinese buying more American goods and the U.S. selling a kind of opening up of the Chinese consumer, and then that will lead to more fair and balanced trade.
One last question on trade. President Trump has tasked you and Ambassador Greer and Secretary Lutnick to look at other countries and hopefully have other deals like you did with the UK. Do you feel good about several of those also coming through in the next period of time?
Yes, so I've been focused on the Asia deals, of which obviously China is the largest. We've had very productive discussions with Japan. South Korea is going through a governmental change, but before they went into the election cycle, the South Koreans came with very good proposals. Indonesia, who's a large trading partner, has been very forthcoming. The island of Taiwan has presented very good proposal. Thailand. So things on my side of the world, things are going very well. I think the U.S. and Europe may be a bit slower. My personal belief is Europe may have a collective action problem, that the Italians want something that's different than the French. But I'm sure at the end of the day, we will reach a satisfactory conclusion.
Great, thank you. So, Your Excellency, we were talking backstage about 2017. when really not many people in the world had heard about Vision 2030.